And the racing continues today on NBC. We are just moments away from the green flag for round 13 of the NTT INDYCAR Series. It's the Honda Indy 200 from mid-Ohio, just north of Columbus and south of Cleveland, Ohio, and the parade lap is already underway. Just 5 races remain leading to the finale at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and 4 are very much still in play for the championship, and they all start near the front today. Joseph Newgarden is the most recent winner last weekend at Iowa and has the most wins this season. And keeping with the Tour de France theme, he would have the yellow jersey as the championship leader. The 28-year-old from Tennessee, who won the title 2 years ago, leads the points and has almost all season, and it's always been tight. He'll start third. And the championship looks like this. Californian Alexander Rossi is second, well within range. Then it's Indianapolis 500 winner Simon Pagano and 5-time reigning champ Scott Dixon. Pagano also sports yellow. He's not the championship leader, but he is the reigning Indy 500 champion, and he has 3 wins, starting 4th. Will Power has 35 career wins. That's tied for 7th all time, but he hasn't won all year after winning each of the last 12 years. He starts from the pole position. And Alexander Rossi, fresh with a new contract to stay with Andretti Autosport, the winner of the 100th Indy 500, is the most recent winner here, and he's second behind Newgarden in the championship. He'll start second. 4 more. We go to pit road, and we start with Nbcsn.
And Kevin, championship point leader Joseph Newgarden will start third today. And after qualifying, he said, "I just need to find one small thing on the car to make me comfortable." Well, in the final practice today, he found that. He got out of the car with a big smile on his face. And Dylan Welch, have a feeling that's not good news for his competition.
Well, Jan, for his closest championship competitor, that's Alexander Rossi. It's been a steady progression this weekend. They parlayed some trial and error in practice into an outside front row starting position. He feels like they're maybe the best car on the black tires, and good thing, no more talks of contracts, just racing today. He'll need to be on it from turn 1 if he wants to repeat as winner here.
All right, thank you, Dylan. Robin Miller will also join us today. I'm Kevin Lee, joined by Townsend Bell, a winner here in Indy Lights. If he's got Dixon, Paul Tracy, also a former champion and a former winner in IndyCar here at Mid-Ohio, is with us in the booth. And here is the Honda starting lineup. Power on the pole for the 57th time. Only Mario Andretti has won more poles in IndyCar. Keep an eye as well on Scott Dixon. Not only is he a 5-time champion, he's a 5-time winner at this racetrack and is still within range in the championship. A little further back, a local connection. Graham Rahal grew up at this racetrack. The Ohio State Buckeyes fan, is a former winner here, but he's got some work to do today. So does another Ohio native, Zach Veach. But Andretti Autosport starts a little further back. We'll see a couple of different strategies in play today, and the racing should be excellent. Now keep in mind, the start-finish line is not where this race starts. They'll go in the backstretch. That's the kink in turn number 3, and the best passing zone is turn 1 of the race for the start, turn 4 overall. This is turn 2, the keyhole, and they'll start to line up here. Will Power in the silver Verizon car on the inside. He dictates the start. The blue and yellow Napa car is Alexander Rossi. The blue and white in row 2 is Joseph Newgarden. And that bright yellow Menards car is Simon Pagano. Here we go. Time to go in the championship. Power gets the early jump. Rossi tucks in behind, thinks to the outside. Now Newgarden is going to make a play for second. Pagano lingering back there, right around the outside. There's Felix Rosenquist trying to get around Pagano.
That black and green car, Rosenquist went big, but there's trouble further back. That's James Hinchcliffe, who's off in the grass, and they're all going to get checked up as he rejoins from the back.
And his teammate has an issue. They got together with somebody there, but Will Power made a perfect start. Rossi slid into position, and he's working on him.
Most importantly for Rossi, he's ahead of that blue and white car of Joseph Newgarden, and Sato now is off in the beach.
I saw Dixon getting by his teammate, Felix Rosenquist, let him go by. Sato gets out of the gravel, no yellow.
That's going to leave all kinds of debris on the track as the leaders come through. Turn 1 now, Power with the lead, but Rossi is right there in that Napa car ready to pounce.
So it's Power, Rossi, who's right on the rear wing of Power. Then it's the championship leader, Newgarden. the Indy 500 winner Pagano, who did get back around Rosenquist, and James Hinchcliffe is an early diver into pit lane. He's going to change to the sticker set of softer compound tires. The reds are a little bit faster, but
looks
they
like
will not
damage,
last
Kevin,
long.
to the right rear of Hinchcliffe's car. They leave the right rear off and go to make repairs as Sato also comes in to change tires and inspect the car.
Oh, look at the damage on his teammate's car.
Oh.
Marcus Ericsson with that contact. A lot of problems on the first lap for these guys. These guys are all going to go a lap down here.
Is there a chance that Ericsson and Hinchcliffe got together, teammates with each other? We'll have to find out. It's Power back up front, and I'm encouraged for Rossi in terms of how close he's able to follow. And there's Simon Pagano and Sebastian Bourne, the two French drivers in the field. Pagano in that bright yellow car, Bourne in the yellow and black. Let's watch the replay. Yes, those SPM teammates, Ericsson and Hinchcliffe, had contact side to side. That's what caused the damage.
I think Ericsson might have gotten bumped over into Hinchcliffe, though. Did somebody contact him first?
I think first it was nose to tail on the Schmidt-Peterson cars. Let's see if we can learn something from the onboard here.
His right side tires were already down, so somebody hit him from the right side, which pushed him over into his teammate, which shoved Hinchcliffe right off the track into the grass.
And the seas parted for Graham Rahal.
Simon getting a lot of pressure from Bourne here. Bourne looking on the outside line, the high line, as they go into Thunder Hill right here. All these corners is blind. This one you rise up over a fairly steep hill, can't see over the other side. Sideways in the dirt for Sebastian Bourne.
Bourne started all the way at the back of last year's race, came through to finish 6th without any yellow flags to help. So we know that he's very quick around here, and he did so last year by passing a lot of cars. And I'm sure Simon Pagano is thinking about that as he sees that Sealmaster car looming large in his mirrors.
Sebastian Bourne last year started all the way at the tail of the field and drove through the field to a 6th place finish, but he is right up front this time and looking for a top podium finish.
And what you'll find interesting, you watch Simon Pagano on those bright yellow Menard colors. He started this race, yes, on the alternate red sidewall Firestones, the softer of the two, just like Bourne and the car ahead, but he chose a used set. That is something you do not normally see. You'll hear in the background some people are leaving pit lane after their repairs, but a big change, I think, in strategy for that yellow Menards car being on used tires, not on new ones. This is Marcus Ericsson continuing repairs here. You heard in the background his teammate, James Hinchcliffe, had a broken toe link. He is now back on track.
Hinchcliffe coming off his first podium of the season at the short oval of Iowa last week, and he has more than just his work cut out for him this weekend. There's the best battle right now. Those two yellow cars, the one with the black, the Sealmaster, that's an Ohio-based company. He's working on Simon Pagano for 4th.
Actually quite surprised that Dixon right back there behind his teammate hasn't been able to stay up closer in this mix. There's a small gap between this leading front group of cars.
So these guys have 200 seconds of push to pass to use during the race, and this adds close to 50 horsepower on the straights or at any point on the track. And there you see seconds remaining. The guy that's been most liberal with the use in the top 6 there is Rosenquist. He's already used 17 seconds. Meanwhile, Newgarden hasn't touched it once.
And Power got the jump into corner number 1. We all wondered, how would everyone approach that? Safe to say, Power has nothing to lose. He's not thinking championship. Wins all that matter. Rossi, Newgarden, Pagano thinking championship. How much do you think they wanted to test him into that first turn?
Well, I think it was huge for Power to get through turn 1 cleanly without any pressure. He did a brilliant job kind of jumping the start, timed it perfectly. Now he can settle in and do what he did yesterday to qualify on pole, which is just lay down.
Secure your tires, +7, good work.
Faster laps than anybody's. You hear Roger Penske come on the radio and remind him, just take care of the tires. Nice and calm is what I would be doing to coach Power today.
Yeah, he's made a lot of mistakes this year. He said it himself. He's made too many small mistakes, which has cost him a few wins this year. It's been the longest streak he's had in a long time, so he needs to put it all together today.
Here's the AutoNation onboard of Alexander Rossi in the Firestone telemetry.
You see there, 6th gear, Hear him roll off the throttle. There's almost a coast phase at the end of the straightaway. That's to just save fuel and give Alexander Rossi the chance to make this race on just 2 pit stops, which is how he won last year.
Let's listen to some in-car communications from Rossi a moment ago.
Driving much harder than me. Copy. Just look after everything, let it come. Plus 0.7 Joseph still.
He said he's driving much harder than
He's saying Power is driving much harder. He's trying to do this on 2 stops if he can, the same way that he did it last year to win, and he knows that Power's using fuel driving away, so let him go.
Power in a Chevrolet, Rossi in a Honda. A lot of talk that the Hondas get better mileage so far this year, but we'll find out as this race develops, because you never really know until the race starts, and frankly until the race is over, what the mileage is like. Newgarden and Pagano, his teammate, also in Chevrolets, following Rossi, trying to track him down.
You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT INDYCAR Series, and by Fifth Third Bank, official partner of Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. This is banking of Fifth Third Better. It was great to see the conclusion of the Tour de France and the ceremonies, and while that was happening, the Honda Indy 2-seater, driven by 3-time Indy 500 winner Helio Castroneves, was out on course, and riding along, Troy Sowers. He has over 100,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. Got a chance to enjoy the ride with Helio, who did a fantastic job, by the way, yesterday as our Cub pit reporter in qualifying. All right, Graham Rahal, the first without damage that's made a stop. He was running in 14th, and the window is open to do it on 3 stops if that's your choice, and that's obviously what Rahal is doing.
A lot of people thought this was the strategy to win the race last year. 3 stops, a better pace, but this puts him out in clean air, so nobody in front of Graham Rahal. It's all in front of him, and he needs to click off some razor fast laps to make this work. We'll be keeping an eye on his pace over the next 20 and 30 minutes.
The leaders right now, not a super quick pace. They're only running a 109 pace. Qualifying was down in the 5s, so these guys are trying to make the mileage to do it on 2 stops. Will this play out for Graham Rahal?
You've got to get to about lap 29, 28, 29 on this stint to make it on 2 stops. Still a long way to go, and the big issue is how much does the lap time fall off on the tires. Right now, things holding steady right about a minute and 9 seconds. Jan?
Seeing some very interesting battles here. When you look at Sebastian Bourne in the middle of the picture, then the green car of Felix Rosenquist, that's the first car on the primary black Firestones. This is the point of the race we call the crossover. That's when the reds start to slow down and maintain the speed there of the black primaries. Look at the Honda Indy 200 pit windows. If you want to stop like Graham Rahal did, window number 1 opened on lap number 6. We're within that window. We're hearing that Simon Pagano in the bright yellow Menards colors, he might be coming in shortly, so he would be on a 3-stopper. I believe the other cars around there are those that'll be on the 2-stopper. Now here's another car that started the race on used alternate. That would be Colton Herta. So there are a few people who have decided they want to save their best tires for the end of the race, not the start.
Definitely going to need a tire pressure adjustment for red. I'm understeering like crazy.
10-4.
You're going to have to take a big swing at it. It's terrible right now.
10-4.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay, his pseudo teammate with support from Andretti Technologies, is challenging him right now, Paul.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay on blacks right here. Now you see these tires of the reds are starting to go away. Hunter-Reay was a little bit further back from this group, and he's caught right up.
Herta, by the way, just 19 years old, already a race winner, the youngest winner ever in IndyCar history when he was still 18 earlier this year in Austin, Texas at Circuit of the Americas.
Also the hottest free agent prospect now that Alexander Rossi's been locked down. And here comes cars to pit lane. Bourne and Pagano are there.
And Sebastian Bourne into his marks, had sticker reds to start. They'll put scuffed blacks on here. Asked him if he wanted a front wing change, said no sir. Nice stop for Bourne. Jan?
Yes, and these stops will not be very long, Dylan, because they don't need a whole lot of fuel. Now, a completely different strategy. This is brand new red sidewalls. And yes, yes, Simon Pagano easily beats out Sebastian Bourne on completely different tire strategies, but they're now on 3 stops. All of these 3 cars, including Colton Herta, who just flashed by.
It will be interesting to see, guys, what happens with his teammates at Penske. Is he splitting the strategy, or will his teammates adopt the same strategy?
We're about to find out now. Here's the first car to stop on the 3-stop strategy on hot tires. Graham Rahal trying to reel in Colton Herta. Colton needs a few corners to get those Firestones.
Guys ahead, just hit it, came out in front of you. They were well in front of us before. Let's keep on pushing.
There they're giving Graham Rahal that same information. Keep pushing.
And I would say that Rahal made some progress because he was running 14th or 15th, and now he's running behind cars that were running 5th, 6th, and 8th.
And if a yellow were to come out right now, it would reset everything and would advantage the 3-stoppers that have already stopped. These leaders are right now in the danger zone, meaning if a yellow came out, they'd have to come to pit lane and lose positions to the cars that have already stopped.
Lots of runoff area here. You can make a big mistake and go off the track, and they don't have to go full course yellow.
Will Power, as mentioned, started on the pole today for the 57th time. Only Mario Andretti has more poles. It had been a little bit of a drought since the first month of the season, so Power understandably was fired up after it's been a bit of a slump this year. He's not won. He desperately wants to get back on track.
It's been such a bad year, so disappointing, but I have such a fire burning in me when I do a lap like that, and within mind, everyone that's had such a great year, just sticking it to them, man. I don't care. It's just, it just beats you down in the year where you just keep having these bad runs. So happy to get the pole, so happy.
You can tell a lot of anger in the qualifying result yesterday. A lot of vindication for him as Joseph Newgarden, the points leader, is coming to Nbcsn.
Yes, and this is interesting. We're seeing some split strategy, but we're seeing a completely different choice on tires. These are scrubbed black sidewalls, the primary Firestones, and they get a little bit of front wing. Super quick stop for Joseph Newgarden. All these stops are the 3-stoppers. Let's see how he cycles out. We see Simon Pagano now just in turn 1.
He's going to come out right behind Tony Kanaan. If he gets hung up behind him, Townsend, and loses pace to what these other guys are doing, this could create a big problem for him. If he had open road, it would be far more beneficial.
He really wants to get him by the time they get to turn 4, but he may be too far back.
Bourne spun up in the keyhole, continues. Wonder if he had help or if that was on his own.
Colton Herta is the car right in front of him right now, that white and green car. Let's look at it again as it stays green.
Definitely got help.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky it didn't take Colton Herta's front wing off because they made contact across the front wing and it sent Bourne around, did a 360 and kept going.
So Bourne leaves the door open. Colton dives in and goes for it. They get together.
Colton got loose and had to correct, and that just sent him over into Sebastian, which spun him around. But no harm, no foul. They didn't lose a lot of time.
Heck of a save from Bourne. In the end, he probably only lost about 3 seconds of track position as Colton Herta is just up ahead. And I'm sure if Bourne gets close, he almost gets close to going off the track there. If Bourne gets close, he might return the favor.
Power, Rossi, and Dixon are probably the best fuel mileage makers that are out there. And these guys look right now like they're trying to do it still on 2 stops.
By the way, Rahal picked up a couple of positions. That was the blue and white car that got around the 2 cars that made contact. So the strategy is working for the Ohio driver so far today. Meanwhile, there's Power. There's Rossi in the Napa colors. And now rookie Felix Rosenquist is in 3rd. His teammate for Ganassi, Scott Dixon, there in the orange and blue car behind him, running in 4th.
Rossi's, oh, here's Hunter-Reay, guys.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay is coming in. They started with blacks on the DHL car, so he hits his marks perfectly here. Waiting on the Speedway fuel and 4 new Firestones as well for Hunter-Reay.
So another 3-stop strategy. We will continue to watch if anyone's going to try to do it on 2. There's Pagano screaming by, so he'll come out behind him. Pagano, before the stop started, was running in 4th.
Tony Kanaan right up there at the front of that line. This is a problem, Townsend, for these guys. These guys need to go fast right now.
3-stop strategy requires hot pace, full push. They need to get by, and Newgarden's got trouble now from his teammate. What will Pagano do?
And how much of a fight will the veteran put up? He will let Newgarden go by. A little tougher for Pagano, but he's also clean.
Late move from Pagano, but Kanan saw it coming and wisely left the door open to avoid the contact, knowing that they're on different strategies.
These guys got to put the hammer down now and lay down qualifying laps through this whole run. Right now, Power leading. Rossi just sitting on him. Rossi doesn't have to worry about Power in the points. He's nowhere. This blue car of Newgarden is the guy that he's concentrating on.
For now, we think the leaders are not quite ready to come in.
Got to move here.
Rossi's under huge pressure from Rosenquist. These are all drivers that have not pitted yet. Rosenquist has a good run. He's on push to pass.
On the blacks, too. So
he goes for it.
Those red tires are going away on Rossi's car. He's another guy. He doesn't have to worry about him in the points.
Power still needs to do about 12 more laps, and Rosenquist could take the lead when we come back from break.
IndyCar has a couple of weekends off. Next up, it's the ABC Supply 500 on NBCSN coming up Sunday, August 18th. 500-miler with coverage beginning at 2 o'clock Eastern on NBCSN. And that's also, when this race is complete, you can flip over and see NASCAR Cup Series racing at Pagano later today.
Kevin, Felix Rosenquist has reeled in Will Power, the leader. Rosenquist still on the harder black tire. He'll have to run reds later. Power on the red tire hanging on, but Rosenquist and that Chip Ganassi team has had the pace the last 5 laps.
Putting a lot of pressure now on the back of Power. He's got to set this up through turn 1, get through turn 2 cleanly with a good exit, and he might have a good shot.
Good job.
Going down into turn 3.
Code.
So here Roger Penske talking to Will Power. A moment ago he said, code now, as if they maybe have changed the plan. That's Power in the Silver Verizon colors, green and black. Clover sponsorship for Rosenquist this week. And then Scott Dixon is now lurking within range, and that orange and blue car.
There's the setup. He's coming.
They're both on push to pass. Power's trying to defend. Rosenquist is looking for the boost to make the move.
For the lead of the race, not this time, not quite close enough.
The problem for Rosenquist is he's burned 90 seconds of the 200 seconds available, and we're not even 1/3 of the way through this race.
Let's check in with Jan real quick.
And this is a fascinating battle because, of course, they're on 2 different tires, but they appear to be on the same pit strategy, and that is they're trying to get to lap 29. If you're on the black sidewall Firestones like Felix Rosenquist, it's much easier. The tires are not going away. For Will Power, if he wants to make it to 29, he's trying desperately to keep these red tires underneath him. Remember, later in the race, they'll reverse positions. You must race both tires sometime during the race itself.
Plus 0.5, good work.
Okay,
22 complete.
When you hear those codes from Roger Penske, those are fuel codes. And if they're still giving fuel codes to Will Power, I believe he's still trying to stretch it to lap 29 and make this a 2-stopper.
Power's pace is still decent, but Rossi has really fallen off the map. He's now 5 seconds behind Power.
Power's actually getting a little quicker here. I think that's how strong the Penske
Code
car
95
is set up. As you hear code 95, Roger Penske's thrown out more code numbers than the FAA the last 5 laps. There's 85s and 95s coming. I'm not sure if Will Power has a manual to track all of that in the cockpit.
I'm waiting to hear Da Vinci code.
Do you think Will remembers all of them?
I don't know.
Did you have a little map, Paul, that allowed you to keep track of?
They're well versed on what they're doing. This is a well-oiled machine, Penske Racing. But he's got a lot of pressure on him right now.
I think things have stabilized for Power. I think this is hugely encouraging for the balance of this race, that he's been able to maintain decent pace. He knows, too, that Rosenquist has had to use all kinds of push to pass. This is the best battle on the track.
Good work.
Meanwhile, 5-time winner Scott Dixon in that orange car is getting closer and closer. The gap between Dixon and Rosenquist about a second.
The entry speed of Rosenquist is really good. The front grip is there. You can see he closes up right to the apex right there. But the power out, Will Power is still pretty good.
Rosenquist is trying to square things up for the exit, but he's losing too much speed in the middle of the corner as the gap grows, and he's just not close enough to make a move. Power, such a clever driver in terms of figuring out how to make it difficult for the trailing car.
We're seeing a battle against Chevy against Honda. Power is in a Chevy, Rosenquist in a Honda.
And His Ganassi teammate Scott Dixon behind about 0.3 of a second faster that last lap. He's gaining. He's still in the championship fight. Someone on the outside looking in needs wins.
Another big backstory on Rosenquist. He didn't know if he was going to have a job for next year, and now he has the full support of Chip Ganassi. There's no risk. He knows he's got a future here. He wants to prove his boss made a good decision.
You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by the all-new Chevy Silverado, the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. And by Firestone, drive the tire that drives IndyCar legends. IndyCar fans have come out en masse to Ohio this weekend to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and a lot has happened in the last few moments. Alexander Rossi coming in maybe a little bit early on the two-stop strategy. He's going to need some help to get that done.
Can't get it done. Can't get it done. They gave up on it. He was losing so much pace, getting passed by guys, and here's the pass on the outside. Strong move, Townsend.
This is for the lead. Rosenquist going to the outside of Will Power. And again, Rosenquist on the blacks, Power trying to hang on the reds. But don't worry, later in the race, Rosenquist and Scott Dixon there are going to have to go to that softer red tire and try to make that work. Pit stops coming up for the leaders in the next couple laps.
5 have not stopped yet. Rosenquist, Power, Dixon, Piggott. Now there's 4. Piggott is in.
And they had the blacks on, and it looks like putting the reds on this time as a front wing adjustment for Piggott, waiting on the fuel, and he pits from 5th, and we'll see where he rejoins, Jan.
And Dylan, interesting news as we watch Santino Ferrucci. He's called for some front wing. He gets that front wing. We checked in with Alexander Rossi and Rob Edwards, and I gave hand signals. He says, we are still good for 2 stops. They believe that Alexander Rossi can save enough fuel. Here he flashes by turn number 1. They just had to get him off those red tires.
Well, he went further than anybody last year. And a couple of Honda teams told me before this race that they think Honda has better fuel mileage than they did last season.
Well, Rosenquist, Power, and Dixon have gone further than him. Power's still out there on those red tires, has done a much better job at managing those tires than Rossi did.
Now for Rosenquist and Scott Dixon, Ganassi teammates. There's Rosenquist. I was going to say there's an incentive to run as long as you can on this stint.
Push this lap.
And of course, some of those radio calls are delayed. And of course, you're in and out laps when they say push, push, push. That is so important. Felix Rosenquist will want all the fuel. That's 7.9 seconds. He goes with new reds. Remember, this is now his part of the race to be on the tires that Will Power was just on.
Felix Rosenquist is a 27-year-old rookie from Sweden. He's not won before in IndyCar, but he has finished on the podium a couple of times, as we see Graham Rahal, one of the early stoppers, so he's getting close to the window for stop number 2. Sebastian Bourne, also on a 3-stop strategy, is right behind.
So Rosenquist is going to settle in. That radio communication to push, push, push was Roger Penske to Will Power saying this is the chance. We need to make this lap count before we pit to make sure we stay ahead of Rosenquist. For Power, he's lucky that Rosenquist finds himself in a bit of traffic here. It's maybe some dirty air that could slow up the pace and give Power a chance to leapfrog back to the lead on this sequence. Here comes Power, here comes Dixon.
Top 2 in the race, rolling down pit lane. Joseph Newgarden will take over the lead, but he's on a 3-stop strategy. So these still 2 are the effective leaders of the race, and also potentially Rosenquist. Jan?
From overhead, we'll watch the 2. We watch for Will Power. He is going with scuffed black tires. We watch in the background for Scott Dixon. They take a lot of wing out of the 4. And man, it's neck and neck as they leave the pits, and they leave in the same order. Will Power keeps that. Remember, Will Power is not as happy with his car on the blacks. Now we have the switch of compound. This is good stuff.
And they're not even close to Rosenquist. He really smoked Power and Dixon on that pit stop sequence. Rosenquist there in the green and black car, and now Power and Dixon are way back. So excellent pit work, excellent in and out laps for Felix Rosenquist.
So the early takers, Newgarden, Pagano, Hunter Ray, they are now at the front of the field on the 3-stop strategy. These guys now are committed to 2 stops.
Power and Dixon did get out in front of Alexander Rossi, though, who, there you see, the blue and yellow car is running behind Dixon.
So basically now what has to happen is, if this race stays green, Joseph Newgarden needs to put about 25 seconds on Felix Rosenquist to make the three-stop strategy work. About 25 seconds is what you lose on pit lane. Rosenquist knows that, and so it's not like he can just lay down here. He needs to keep moving forward.
All right, great job. Just hold together. Get a few more laps.
Gaining 12 seconds over the pace that Rosenquist has had is going to be a pretty tall order to pull off, but it can be done. But Rosenquist so far has had really good pace. The track now is rubbering up more, so these reds, Townsend, might last longer because we've got more rubber on the track now.
It's possible. Rosenquist with a run. He's on the button. Rosenquist, guys, has 65 seconds left to push to pass. He has been super liberal on the button, deciding this is the time he really needs to fly. The question is, if it comes down to a shootout at the end, he might not have anything left.
There's Power and Dixon running 10th and 11th officially in the race, but quite a few on the three-stop strategy are going to come in here within the next, anywhere 2 to 3, as many as 7 or 8 if they really wanted to stretch it, but they won't.
Right now, Dixon on the red tires, he's going to be a little bit quicker than Power. Power switched over to blacks, so for the first 10, 12 laps, Dixon is going to have the advantage over Power until the tires cross over with the grip level.
And right behind Scott Dixon, Alexander Rossi hanging in there, but we're not sure. Rob Edwards says they can make it on fuel, but it's going to be a stretch. They have to do 32 laps on 2 stints to make it to the end.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very tough. I expected him to go as far as these two guys. They went 2 laps further than Rossi. I think he's in the danger zone.
I don't know, though. Rob Edwards, one of the smartest guys on pit lane. I don't think they would have brought Rossi to the pits if they didn't think he could make it. And here comes Scott Dixon.
Here we go.
Oh, that was close.
Wheels.
He stays on the rear wing as long as he can to try to draft. Power will not let him by this time. And now into the switchback and try to go around the outside of turn 5. They touch. Dixon almost goes off. Power maintains the position.
Will Power knows that if he can hold off Dixon for a few laps, the red tires will start to wear, and he won't have any worries. But right now, Dixon's giving him all kinds of heartache.
He's going to force Dixon to wear those tires out, overdriving the
guys
car.
Ahead. Good work.
To make sure that he puts a lot of pressure on him, but that also uses the tires up.
We had such a perfect shot of this from the helicopter. We ride above with Scott Dixon. He's going to go to the outside. Power's going to run the middle of the track and kind of push him wide. Look at how far Power is off the apex. Dixon does the over-under, comes to the outside. Power now is going to muscle him, elbows out, and pushes him off to the curb.
Body checked him right out of the way.
Straight out of the NHL.
All fair in that situation?
I think so. I think, Dixon didn't leave the track, but I think Dixon's going to return the favor with a little more authority this time.
He's not going to like what happened the last lap. Will he get further down? Will he do the same thing? Oh, they almost touch again. Power really pushing the issue.
Fantastic stuff in the early going, and understandably this is a battle for 10th, but this could be for the effective race lead right here.
Biggest risk for Will Power trying to out-muscle Dixon like this would be getting a puncture in the tires. You get that front wing end fence of Scott Dixon into the rear tire of Will Power. It's easy to cut a tire down as Chip Ganassi watches on, and I'm sure his temperature's starting to rise.
Power has nothing to lose. He's not in the championship fight. He can do whatever he wants. He wants to win. He wants to get that monkey off his back. He doesn't care about where Dixon and Rossi about their points. That's their problem, not his.
Speaking of Rossi, Rossi's loving this because this just brings Dixon and Power right back to him.
And you know who else is? We saw Chip Ganassi a moment ago, the car owner for Scott Dixon, also the car owner for Felix Rosenquist, who is up the road and stretching his advantage, and he's on the same strategy as these two.
Oh, big run again, big run again. He's got the draft early this time. Will Power, he's protecting right away. Does he have enough speed? Oh, over under.
The shake and bake.
Low.
To the inside, Dixon. This time will make it stick. Dixon picks up the position.
Dixon was fed up. What a perfect setup job. Power thought Dixon was going to do the same move, and he's gone now.
He did the perfect basketball head fake.
Well, isn't that similar to what Joseph Newgarden has done the last couple of years? Look outside, swing to the inside. And now Dixon will make some ground up on Will Power rather, and try to chase down Felix Rosenquist. Others between them, but on different strategies. Although Pickett is on the similar strategy, and he's next up the road.
This is not a good situation for the leader, Joseph Newgarden, in this slow traffic. These guys are really going to hold him up. He needs to go fast, lay down quick laps.
He could lose 2 to 3 seconds just on this lap alone, especially if Zach Veach closes the door there, which he does.
On board the Gainbridge car of Zach Veach. That's Newgarden right behind him. He just got around R.C. Enerson, who was doing his first race in IndyCar in 3 years in the Lucas Oil School car for Carlin this week. We've seen several drivers in that number 31.
This is where Newgarden has to make high percentage decisions getting through traffic. There's Pagano, his teammate, just past Enerson. So now it's Newgarden and Pagano. Enerson gets back on Pagano, and here's Ryan Hunter-Reay in the mix.
These guys are getting lapped. They don't have to pull over and go by. It's a courtesy if they want to, but they're fighting to stay on the lead lap. Nice job by Veach pulling over, letting the leader go through. That's a good courtesy.
So Newgarden, right now the leader on a 3-stop strategy as we ride on board the Auto Nation on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Newgarden still needs to get 2, 3, 4 more laps in to make it on one more.
I don't have the tires to get through this.
Next stop, that sounded like Graham Rahal.
Enerson makes a move on Veach. Pagano still stuck behind them.
Correction, that was Ryan Hunter-Reay we just heard from.
Said he doesn't have the tires to make this work. A lot of hard racing going on through the field here, Townsend.
Yeah, and for some of these drivers, they hope this hard driving might even lead to a yellow, because that could completely reset the deck.
A yellow means all of those that might be saving fuel in a 2-stop strategy would be safely home after that.
Last lap for Newgarden was a 1:11. The guys that are on the opposite strategy are running 1:09s.
So Pagano and Herta duck in. Pagano was running second, Herta was running fourth.
Well, this will be interesting because they are separated on pit lane by quite a distance. For Colton Herta, he is going with the blacks. Now this is the 3-stop strategy. They take a lot of wing out. We see what they do for Simon Pagano. Same thing, take quite a bit of wing out. He easily gets out ahead of Colton Herta.
So Pagano is one of the first, along with Herta, of the contenders on the 3-stop strategy to make stop number 2. And then someone on hot tires, that's Ed Jones in that red Ed Carpenter Scuderia Corsa Racing Chevrolet right behind him. He wants to be able to get him right here into turn number 4, but a little bit of a wiggle.
The 3-stop strategy, Newgarden only has a 5-second lead on Rosenquist now. He needed 30-second advantage to make this work. Rosenquist is closing the gap.
Thursday, September 5th, the 100th season of the NFL kicks off on NBC with the league's most storied rivalry. Packers, Bears. Then the defending Super Bowl champion Patriots host the Steelers on the premiere of Sunday Night Football, only on NBC. Well, earlier we saw some contact between Sebastian Bourne there in the yellow and black car and Colton Herta. That was reviewed with no action, but a penalty for Bourne for a pit speed violation. And the leader now on a 3-stop strategy, Joseph Newgarden, is coming towards you, Jan.
Yes, and well within the window of this 3-stop strategy. We're going to watch the blend to see what happens with the 2-stoppers like Alexander Rossi. So he goes with the blacks here. He's going on to take quite a bit of the Speedway fuel. He's looking, wait, there's a problem with the fuel. He's looking back. There's not fuel flow for Joseph Newgarden. Oh my goodness, is this a championship slipping away in the pits? And 14.9 seconds under green. That's going to kill your track position.
There you saw Rossi go zooming by. Here comes Hunter-Reay. That is a terrible situation for Newgarden.
With a standard pit stop, he would have come out in front of Rossi and had a big advantage on him, but now he's fallen back to his teammate. But the guy right now that's in the driver's seat is Rosenquist. He is checked out on all the other 2-stoppers.
Well, Spencer Pigot's about 12 seconds back on the same strategy. Sorry, 1.8 seconds back. You saw the graphic flick there for a second. Teammates side by side.
Pagano on the outside in the yellow. The white-blue car is Newgarden. Pagano almost gets pushed off. Stays in it, still right on his gearbox.
Teammates, yes, but Pagano still has a chance of this championship, and I think he feels like this is his chance to pounce and make up lost ground.
Cold tires for Newgarden, hot tires. Simon tried on the outside, but his teammate pushed him wide.
This is for 7th in the race, but two very distinct strategies going on right now. And both of these cars...
Newgarden is hanging on to it right now, trying to stay ahead. I'm sure he is furious about that pit stop. Let's take a look here as the fueler gets plugged in. Maybe he didn't get all the way plugged in. Has to reset. And this feels like an hour if you're Joseph Newgarden.
Still under pressure from his teammate. The leaders now, Rosenquist, Piggott, Dixon, Power, Rossi, all on the two-stop strategy. Rosenquist has a big lead right now.
So we saw the Penske's racing each other in Townsend. That is not the first time we've seen the Penske's go at it here at Mid-Ohio.
It's a team. There's no I in the word team, but there's a whole lot of me. And on that team, there's three guys that say, me, me, me. I'm the guy this weekend. And Roger Penske loves to let them fight as long as they don't take each other out.
So first 2016. That's Simon Pagano in the blue and white car getting around Will Power. He won the race. He won the championship that year.
This was Newgarden in the blue and white car on Will Power into turn 4 with the muscle move up the inside. And then Newgarden again, this time on Alexander Rossi. That's the move that Scott Dixon just used.
So not a teammate on teammate action last year, but 2 of the last 3 years. And the Penske's know how to make it happen here in Mid-Ohio. Pagano is still lurking. This is the battle for 7th in the race. Meanwhile, Rosenquist leads, and let's find out what's happening in the Penske cap with Jan.
Well, we're going to try and get a quick word with Tim Cindric. Tim, have you been able to find out what happened on that pit stop with fuel?
Not exactly. The fuel hose or the fuel valve didn't open, so I'm not sure why.
All right, so they're obviously trying to call some strategy to see what they can salvage here for Joseph Newgarden. We saw the crew look everything over carefully. And Townsend, I agree with you. It looked like on the second go, when he went to engage the fuel probe, then the fuel was flowing. So you'd have to think maybe it just didn't flow first time.
Yeah, but sometimes the dead man valve doesn't get open, and that's a procedural thing. So who knows what the issue is, but either way, a total disaster for Newgarden. However, it's not that bad if you look at where he stands to Rossi, 7 seconds back. Still a lot to play, but everybody still has one more stop to make it to the end.
So Newgarden and Pagano 7th and 8th. Up front, it's Rosenquist, Piggott, and Dixon. Effectively, everyone's on the same strategy now. Everyone still needs one more stop as we go on board with the Clydell Manufacturing on board and rookie Santino Ferrucci. He's running in 12th. Ferrucci on a 3-stop strategy, but again, 2 or 3, the leaderboard now should be what it is because everyone needs one more stop.
Correct.
And the top 5 are saving fuel and tires a little bit more because they've only done 1 stop. The others have done 2.
Now, speaking of tires, what we'll really be watching for here is Felix Rosenquist lap times, because this is the stint that he's going to run the Reds. And we saw how much Rossi's pace fell off in the second half of the stint. And it looks like Team Penske is going to replace fuel assemblies entirely. And Paul, you've driven for that team. They always seem to be prepared for any problem. They've got a full backup fuel system on pit lane.
Absolutely. Every team has a spare. There's the valve breaks quite regularly. A lot of moving parts that when you push that fuel probe in, a blade opens up, there's bearings, there's a lot of mechanical parts in there, and anything can break in there. We've seen it time and time again. But like you said, Townsend, Rosenquist has got the pace, and here he comes.
And this is a bit of a shock because we thought he was on a 2-stop strategy. If you stop now, you're on a 3-stopper. And he went long enough to go, but they're deciding to make a shorter stint on the reds and going back to the blacks. You see, he didn't need all the speedway fuel. That's only 6.3 seconds, but that is not what we expected on the pit strategy.
Not at all, Nbcsn. There's no way he can go 45, 44 laps to the finish. So that is a huge adjustment for Rosenquist. I can't imagine why. Maybe they just thought the balance would be so bad or the mileage wasn't good.
Maybe they had a fuel problem and didn't get all the fuel in it, because there's absolutely no reason if he got a full load of fuel to come in now.
Rossi radio a few moments ago.
Power's not fast enough to do a 68. Copy that. I mean, he's definitely right. He's being his teammate. I mean, if we can get by him at some point, we should, but he's definitely being his team car.
So did they kind of say that Rosenquist gave up the position for his teammate Dixon? Is that what I got?
I thought he said Power. So he may think that Power, not in the championship, is trying to help out the other two Penske teammates that are in the championship, but that's Rosenquist right in front of him. Power, though, is the next car up the road, is he not?
Yep,
yeah,
Spencer Pigot now is on pit lane. That's another car that I thought was on a 2-stop strategy. So a lot of surprises here, Dylan.
And they're taking off reds and putting another set of sticker reds on. Remember, they had that extra set because they qualified outside the top 10, so they had an extra set of new reds. That's what they put on here and sent him back out.
And Mr. Mid-Ohio, Scott Dixon, 5-time winner, assumes the lead with a 9-second lead over Power.
And I would be utterly shocked if Dixon came in and switched strategies at this point.
And remember when Dixon made that pass on Power, we said that could be for the effective lead of the race. So there wasn't just one more stop for everyone. Some had to abort. They couldn't make the tires work or get the fuel mileage they needed.
It's going to be hard for Rossi to pass Rosenquist in front. Rosenquist is on fresh tires, so it's going to be very difficult for him to get by him.
Going to be really hard for Rossi to pass Rosenquist because Rosenquist's teammate Scott Dixon has a chance to win this race and claw his way back up into the championship conversation. As they run right now, Dixon, if he could win this thing, would be only 76 points out of the lead with 4 races still left to go and double points at the final race at Laguna Seca.
Got some lap car traffic right here, which won't help Rossi. Power's clear of it. There's Zach Veach, who's a lap down. Rosenquist doesn't have to save fuel now. He can go as fast as he needs to go, Jan.
And I just asked Barry Wanzer, his strategist, why did you bail on the 2-stop strategy? He said, we didn't bail on the 2-stop strategy. We were going for 3. We were getting held up by R.C. Enerson, and we feel by doing this, we can jump Rossi. So they believe that he can go faster now on these tires, not have to save fuel as he sets up Zach Veach for a pass. They think this is by design for Rosenquist.
And now he's going to have some clear road ahead of him for a little while. And Zach Veach really backed out of it there to let his teammate Alexander Rossi go by. Does he have a problem?
No.
Or was he wanting to make sure there was no issue?
He had both teammates there with Ryan Hunter-Reay, so he got right out of their way. That's good teamwork. Now his job would be to hold up the car that's right behind him. Joseph Newgarden chasing down Alexander Rossi. This guy's job right now is to hold these two up, Townsend.
If you'd like even more IndyCar content, it's available with the NBC Sports Gold IndyCar Pass. Watch every qualifying and practice live and also on demand. Visit NBCSports.com/IndyCar now. Kevin Lee for Lee Diffie, who is covering USA Track and Field this evening. He'll be back with us at Pagano along with Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, Jan Nbcsn, Robin Miller, Dylan Welch. The Gallagher on board with Max Chilton right now, running in 15th. The pole sitter, Will Power, who controlled the early portion of the race, but is now chasing Scott Dixon after Dixon got him on track. And Felix Rosenquist, who led in that green and black car for Ganassi, he's running in 3rd, a little further back to the blue and yellow Napa car. That's Alexander Rossi, 2nd in the championship. Ryan Hunter-Reay is running in 5th. There he is in the yellow and red DHL car. And the one we didn't see, 13 seconds up the road, is the race leader, Scott Dixon, trying to win for the 6th time here. Here's the list of drivers that have won 6 or more races at a single track since 1985. Michael Andretti, 7 times at Toronto, and the king of the beach, Al Unser Jr., 6 times at Long Beach. All right, we mentioned Robin Miller. Let's check in with him on pit road.
All right, nobody wants to have their race only last 1 lap, but the last thing you want to do is tangle with your teammate. Marcus Ericsson, tell me what happened between you and James Hinchcliffe.
I think it was going all right through the corner. I mean, I haven't seen the replays yet, but it felt like someone just hit me from the inside and made me bounce into James. So, very unfortunate. Yeah, let's see. Doing all right, and you see, yeah, there. It's the rail car that hits me really hard, and it makes me bounce into James. So it's really bad for the team, you know, because we had a really good car this weekend, and yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear on the replays. You see Sato just hitting me straight in the side, so it's a shame.
Sorry you're out, brother. Kevin?
All right, thank you, Robin. Marcus Ericsson in his first year in IndyCar after 5 in Formula One. Alexander Rossi running in 4th position right now, 2nd in the championship, and a very big weekend for Rossi. He has been the talk of the free agent market. It's been well known. His contract was up. The 2016 Indianapolis 500 winner had reportedly received interest from all the heavyweight teams, but he re-signed with Andretti Autosport and Honda, and it was announced yesterday. Robin,
Okay.
tell us more.
Here's what we got to know, boys. Roger Penske admitted today, yes, he had conversations with Rossi, but when they said they were going to have to run 4 cars, Rossi wasn't interested. That's Roger's take. So he went back to Andretti. Now, who knows if that's exactly what happened, because obviously Rossi's on a 4-car team right now. But I think what's interesting now is Rossi was the big domino. He was the guy we were waiting to see what happened. So what's going to happen? Who's the next guy everybody wants? Colton Herta, 19 years old. He's got a contract with Harding Racing with help from Andretti's technology. But guess what? Ooh, as we see, here's Rosenquist making a move right here. Anyway, so you got Colton Herta. And Brian Herta said today about his son, look, we got a contract with Harding. If this guy can deliver and we can keep running, we're happy right here. But if we can't come up with the sponsorship to keep going, we'll go wherever we have to go. But Andretti wants to keep 2. Nice pass by Felix Rosenquist, Kevin Lee.
Oh, very impressive. Side by side through 2 or 3 corners where you normally can't do that, and he got it done.
Rosenquist tires were about 15 laps fresher. He knew that this was his opportunity to make something happen. Brilliant job racing side by side with one of the fastest drivers in the business.
Nice job. Car in front of you is Kanaan, just came out of the pits.
And now they want to go try to track down their teammate, Scott Dixon, as Tony Kanaan comes out of the pits. Now, push to pass is getting awfully important at this point for Rosenquist. Only 15 seconds left, still with 35 laps to go to finish this. And we've got to see this again. Look at this side-by-side action on a track that is twisty and narrow.
That was an awesome bit of fair, aggressive racing. He dives down the inside, power, turns in, but leaves him some room. Then they go side by side, up over the hump. A little bit of contact right there, Townsend.
Power.
He doesn't give up, though.
Power tried to muscle him off like he did to Scott Dixon, and now Rosenquist sticks right there in through Thunder Valley, and then he's gone.
And that's a rookie on a 35-time winner and former IndyCar champion, Rosenquist, who's never raced a race here in IndyCar. He's tested, but getting it done on one of the veterans.
However, Rosenquist, one of the most decorated Rose Course junior drivers in the world. He's raced so many different formats, so highly touted, and it's great to see the young man get the opportunity and prove himself here today in the IndyCar Series.
I got a feeling if Rossi right here catches power, there's going to be more action than that, because his job right now is going to be keeping Rossi behind him to help his teammate right there. Newgarden now is chasing down the back of this lead group.
And that's Ryan Hunter-Reay in the yellow DHL car that's going to try to hold off Newgarden, as up front it is smooth sailing for the 5-time Mid-Ohio winner.
And Townsend, it has been a nice day for these guys. Started back in the pack a little ways, but at the start of this run, after their first stop, they told Scott, we need you to save a little bit of fuel to get to the window here for our next stop. They basically come on the radio since and told him that we're about at our number, so you can push here, do what you need to do to extend this lead, and that's allowed him to continue to click off some fast laps here, even on these red tires as they start to degrade.
Yeah, his pace is phenomenal when you think about the number of laps on the reds. There's only 4 laps until he pits, and he's down in the mid to low 108 second laps. Earlier in the race, Power was in the mid 109s along with Rossi when they were on reds.
He's running a second a lap faster than Will Power right now. Will Power's got a lot of pressure on him now, but no point in running it too hard with the lead that big. Just take it easy on the tires and click off the laps.
Ryan Hunter-Reay running 5th right now on the Auto Nation on board. Let's listen into his radio communications.
Getting a lot of aero wash. I might be able to go a little quicker. You need to do what you were doing this morning on the switches. Do not let the 2 pass, though. Different strategy stuff in play here, so we're doing fuel 293, 57. Maintain position. That's the most important thing.
A lot of team tactic going on here. Ryan Hunter-Reay has been instructed to keep Joseph Newgarden behind him. That's his job. He's not in the championship fight. He's a little bit far out of it, so he needs to keep the Penske guys behind them.
So as rough as that pit stop was, and it cost Joseph Newgarden a few positions in 5 or 6 seconds, as it stands, he had a 29-point lead coming in. As it stands right now, he would only lose 3 points on his championship lead because Rossi hasn't been able to fully capitalize running in 4th.
But every point is so valuable, and I'm sure Newgarden's thinking about the podium that would be easily in his hands had they not had that fueling issue. He would be running 2nd right now. Here's another American driver having a great day, Spencer Pigot, up to 8th, up 5 positions since the start. He bailed out early on the 2-stop, went to the 3-stop strategy, but they're making it work. Running on reds right now for this 3rd stint.
Rosenquist, Dixon running exact same lap times at 108.7, 109.2 for Will Power on that last lap.
So we're on pace to run a 2nd straight race here without a caution, and normally that means a dull race, and frankly, back in the day, this race was a little bit of a parade, but the last 3 or 4 years, it's been mostly non-stop action, and today, I think, remains the same. And we're going to see the final pit stop coming up for those on the 2-stop strategy here fairly soon. Rossi could be in soon, running 4th. He pitted on lap 26. He was the earliest of the 2-stoppers, and he's down pit lane right now.
I like this strategy because if a yellow does come in the next couple laps, Rossi's going to be sitting pretty. It's a good gamble.
And this will be interesting because you hear the saying, you want to be the first person, and it's a little bit slow coming up on the jacks. You want to be the first person to make your last stop. We look for behind because we see that the 9, not Dixon, that was Speedway fuel, and that was new tires for Firestone tires for Rossi. We see now that Dixon is set up as well. Again, if you can stay ahead of the curve, but Rossi is going to have to save significant fuel to get to the end. It's not going to be a full beans run.
The yellow comes out. The yellow comes out, he would be in the driver's seat, but here comes the number 9. Here he goes.
Dixon protecting. They do not want to get caught out on a yellow. They have a 14-second lead. Everything's going well as he comes to pit lane.
And they need a great stop here, obviously, to maintain this track position as best they can. They'll take reds off and put scuff reds on for Scott Dixon. Waiting on those Firestone tires. They go on, fuel flowing freely. A nice smooth stop, 7.5 seconds for Scott Dixon.
So many drivers were concerned about how the reds would handle over a long stint. Not Scott Dixon. He has a beautifully handling car, and it is fast on either tire.
And let's explain the reds again. They're faster in the short term, but they generally don't last as long.
He is all done for pit stops, and he comes out right behind this pack of cars that still has to pit. So as of right now, he's in the driver's seat.
The only thing that's going to hurt Dixon here is some lap traffic that might be just stretching their stint deep here and holding up his average pace, because Power, Hunter-Reay, Newgarden, everybody's going to stop again.
And a big enough lead on Power, almost 15 seconds on Rosenquist, who's going to be next to come, but we're expecting Power to come in on this lap. We'll see if he does.
So Rosenquist is again the leader of the race,
pit this time.
but he's on a different strategy. There's the call from Roger Penske. So Rosenquist does not need to pit for quite some time, but he will have to stop one more time. This should be the last stop for Will Power, and he's going to be able to run with a little bit more fuel on board than the others that have already come in.
Yes, Kevin, that one extra lap makes a fair bit of difference on how much fuel you can use. This is going to be scrubbed, black primary Firestones, and he slides a little bit long. That is what happened to him in the Indianapolis 500. This is something that the team can recover from, but it did slow them down just slightly at a 6.7 for power.
Little mistakes are happening every week, and you can't do that if you're going to win a race in this series. And here comes Rossi. Will he get him on the outlap? He's probably too far behind there.
And Will Power went 2 laps further, meaning he needs 2 laps less to make it to the end on fuel. So Power should be able to use more power and more throttle on this closing stint. There you see the gap.
By the way, Dixon's way up the road. He's already in turn 9 as Power hits turn number 4. So Scott Dixon, looking for a 6th win here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, is in control. You have to believe he's going to be able to make the tires last. He's going to be able to make the fuel. And Felix Rosenquist and all of those in front of him are going to have to stop one more time. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT INDYCAR Series, and by Honda. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT INDYCAR Series, and by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT INDYCAR Series. Back in Mid-Ohio, Simon Pagano has just made his stop. Ryan Hunter-Reay as well. Pagano came out right in front of Alexander Rossi. Rossi had to get by him, and he did.
This is worst case scenario for Rossi because the championship leader, Joseph Newgarden, even after that bad pit stop with the fuel rig problem, has jumped Rossi in the pit lane. So this is the worst possible outcome that he could possibly have today.
However, Ryan Hunter-Reay is a teammate to Rossi, so this is how Newgarden jumped Rossi with an excellent pit stop, recovering from the issue they had earlier. The fuel hose absolutely fixed there. Now here's the battle, is that for Hunter-Reay, he's got a podium potentially in hand here. So if he gets calls for team orders to help Rossi by slowing up Newgarden, he's going to be saying, hey, I need a podium.
Well, he's got to race the heck out of Newgarden and just really make life hard for him because he's got to help his teammate.
So Rosenquist and Ferrucci both need to stop again. Jan, tell us more.
I can tell you about Joseph Newgarden. The reason he is in this fight is they replaced the entire fuel hose and fuel probe. They had a spare right there on site, and you could see that there was no issue whatsoever. In fact, that was an ultra-fast pit stop for Joseph Newgarden, which has him back in play. And, of course, the one thing they wanted to do, get out ahead of Rossi, which they've done.
All right, so this is really important. Rossi with 69 seconds, Newgarden only 21. So that's going to factor as Ferrucci hits pit lane and puts Ryan Hunter-Reay in the podium conversation.
And for Santino Ferrucci, this, of course, will be his last stop as well. You could see that the fuel probe was maybe not engaged quite as quickly as they would like. That made it slightly longer than some we've seen before, over 9 seconds, but still a fantastic job for the rookie today.
Also, look at the gap that Rosenquist is building. He's in position to be able to do his final stop and come out behind Scott Dixon as a buffer for Dixon. It's about 25, 26 seconds lost, so he may come out in front of Hunter-Reay. We've got a couple of different races.
Yeah, they're looking at a 1-2, but he's coming now. Will he slot out in second place?
I think it's going to be close. Hunter-Reay was about 28 seconds back. I think Rosenquist will be okay. Jan?
What'll be interesting is he will not need all the speedway fuel, and so that pit delta we talk about, that 25 seconds, this should be less. See, when you have a stop that fast, under 7 seconds. That pit delta should help him. Coming back in, he'll be closer than we thought.
Scott Dixon reassumes the lead of the race. He zooms by Rosenquist coming back out, and no one else is in the picture in contention. Watching for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Where is Hunter-Reay?
All the way.
Right now it's a Ganassi 1-2, and it's looking that way. Here comes Hunter-Reay way back, so Hunter-Reay's job now is to try to hang on to this position and help his teammate. But he's going to have Newgarden breathing down his neck, and Will Power goes off at turn 1.
That might help Rossi get a valuable position here. Remember, Rossi has a lot of push to pass. Power with 58, Rossi with 69. Let's see if he goes after him.
But he doesn't have the fuel because he's got to go 30 laps. Newgarden has got more fuel, so he can't afford to use it all up.
That's an excellent point, because Rossi could have used the push to pass there, but he may need to save the fuel. The push to pass burns more of it.
And remember, Rossi being in fuel trouble was really dictated by having to stop early on the reds on the first stint. That's really what made the bed for Rossi in terms of having to stretch things to do the two-stop strategy. So it's amazing how a decision an hour ago will really affect the end of this race, especially without any yellows. Meanwhile, up front, we talked about Rosenquist providing a buffer. Dixon doesn't need anything except a racetrack because he's been so fast today.
Scott Dixon has won this race 5 times, dominated, but relatively speaking, he struggled just a little bit in the last 3 years. 22nd, 9th, and 5th. He's been saying we need to get that turned around.
Well, he's kind of struggled all weekend. It really hasn't been on pace. He didn't qualify all that well, but I'll tell you what, he has used the fuel and the tires to the maximum effort and really built this lead up based on his ability to do that.
Just trying to think out loud here. If you're the Ganassi team, there'd be a benefit to doing whatever you can to have Rossi pass Newgarden and take points away from Newgarden to help Dixon get up in the championship. Right now, Dixon would be 80 points out. He's never won a championship from that far back. So anything the Ganassi team can do to hurt Newgarden and Penske would give Scott Dixon a chance at his 6th championship.
I don't think Felix Rosenquist is willing to give up 2nd place to slide back and mix it up with those guys.
When you're driving for the big chip Ganassi, you do what you're told.
I think just by finishing 2nd guarantees that no one else can finish 2nd and score those points is helping your team.
Pickett, followed by Herta. This is where all the action is on track. This from 3rd place back. These guys are all lined up about 5 car lengths apart from each other.
There's Colton Herta in that green and white car, the 19-year-old working on Spencer Pickett right now for 8th position. And remember, Herta had a little dust up with Sebastian Bourne early in the race. He's recovered nicely. What a beautiful day here in the Midwest, Central Ohio, between Columbus and Cleveland. One of our favorite stops. Every weekend is different. It was a short oval last week, a few weeks ago, a street course, back to the 3-turn super speedway at Pagano in 3 weeks. This is the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course where Scott Dixon is in charge. And it's Ganassi 1-2 right now. Dixon leading his rookie teammate, Felix Rosenquist. Let's go to Dylan Welch.
Well, we've got Mike Cole, who of course calls the shots for the race leader, Scott Dixon. And Mike, you guys you chose to start on the blacks. Why?
Well, you and I talked about that before the race. We just thought that the track wouldn't accept reds until it rubbered up a bit. So now we're on reds.
It's paying off, isn't it?
Well, visually it's paying off. Let's see how it is in 18 laps.
Yep, that's right. He's got about 18 to go before we'll figure out if it does indeed pay off for Scott Dixon.
Yeah, he's got a 7-second gap, though, to his teammate and 20 seconds to the next car he really has to worry about with Ryan Hunter-Reay. So they could literally tell him to just chill a second a lap effectively and coast to the finish. But there's a whole lot to play for further back as this battle's getting fierce.
Yeah, let's not forget, if a yellow comes out and all these guys packed up, the blacks could be an advantage as you get late in the tire run on those reds.
Look at Spencer Pickett going to work on the former champion and this year's Indy 500 champion, and that bright yellow car, that's the Frenchman Simon Pagano, and the young American from Florida, Spencer Pickett, is right behind him. And another young American, Colton Herta, is behind him in that green and white car. So still plenty to play for, especially in the mid-pack. Up front, the question is there any chance Dixon cannot make the red tires, the softer compound, last? My guess is no, but you never know.
But there's a
my guess is yes.
There's a way better chance that we get a yellow with 17 laps to go. We sit in the air-conditioned comforts of the NBC booth. It is 86 degrees outside, 50% humidity. The track is almost 115 degrees, and we have had no break in this race. These drivers are going to be exhausted, and that's when a mistake can come.
Absolutely. When you have a group of cars all right here, and somebody gets desperate at the end of the race, like a Rossi could do, because he knows he needs to get by the Penske car that's up in front of him with Will Power. He knows he needs to get to Newgarden. Does he make a move that is over-aggressive?
Beautiful shots from high above. You can just see how the builders of this track just kind of cut it into the natural topography here in Ohio. It's a joy to race, and really fast, especially through turn one right here. And if Pagano is going to make a move, he's got to try to stay as close as he can and use some of that push to pass he has remaining, which is only 19 seconds at this point. Meanwhile, Rossi with 69. But Paul, as you pointed out, Rossi might not be able to use that button because he still needs to get the mileage to make it to the end.
Page getting closer. That's about as close as I've seen him in the last few laps as he starts to draw up closer.
And keep in mind, this is for 2 points in the championship, not only to help Pagano, but it would also help his Penske teammate, Joseph Newgarden, so these spots matter.
I can hear Rossi coasting into the corners, so he's having to save fuel. All these other guys behind him, like this guy right here, he doesn't have to save fuel. He can go as hard as he wants.
Just having a look at Colton Herta, perhaps the most aggressive driver in this pack. He last pitted on 63, so he has lots of fuel to use. 54 seconds of push to pass, so this could really play out well for young Colton Herta to get a top 5 finish if some of these cars start to struggle in the closing laps.
Herta, a winner earlier this year at 18 years old at Circuit of the Americas, also the youngest pole winner in IndyCar history. We thought he might contend for the pole, being quick in practice all week. Started 7th.
Oh boy, Rossi
drops tires.
Pagano now getting even closer. Does he make a move? Does he pop out?
Rossi used push to pass, so did Pagano. Pagano only 7 seconds left now as Pagano wiggles and runs wide. That's going to give Piggott and Herta a real chance on this next lap. Don't forget, Colton Herta had the contact with Sebastian Bourne earlier in the race. I can see his left front end fence vibrating just a bit. That might be some of the understeer that Colton Herta complained about earlier on.
Spencer Piggott's coming off a good run in Iowa, finished 5th. Second time he's finished 5th this season. That's him in the black Auto Geek car, the number 21. The green and white is the teenager Colton Herta. Behind him for Harding Steinbrenner Racing. The Steinbrenner in that ownership group is George Steinbrenner IV, the grandson of the legendary late New York Yankees owner.
And he's not much older than Colton. I think George Steinbrenner IV is 21, 22 years old. Yes. Colton Herta at 19, and Colton Herta might have a run here on the straightaway on Spencer Piggott, though he struggles to get off the corner.
Speedway lap leaders, it's Will Power right now, but Scott Dixon is going to get that, and that's worth championship points.
Push to pass is on, but he's not close enough. Piggott tries to dive down the inside, locks up the brake a little bit. Simon Pagano right now is struggling. Rossi's getting away from him now.
And as you get closer to the car in front of you, especially in these closing laps, it becomes harder and harder to hang on to your race car. You're in turbulent air, and the tire grip is getting old, and you start to really slide around, and a mistake can be very costly here. There you see Piggott. Now he recovers. He's back with a little bit of clean air gap to Pagano, and he'll close pretty quickly. He can get there, but the question is, can he get by?
And here's the Chevrolet driver update. Newgarden, Power, Pagano. That's the Penske group, and then Spencer Piggott in 8th, the biggest mover among those.
Local hometown hero Graham Rahal now has closed up the gap with Jack Harvey.
And now Colton Herta has a great run up ahead, and Spencer Piggott has no push to pass left.
I feel a move coming. He's pretty close.
It's a great view of Colton Herta. There he goes. Oh, he looks out, ducks back in.
Good look from the 5th Third Bank on board of Graham Rahal. That's 7th, 8th, and 9th right up ahead him as we peek at our Firestone telemetry as well.
It's great to watch Colton at his age. You and I, Townsend, we both raced against his dad, Brian, and his dad is a winner, very fast qualifier, but Colton is like a clone of his dad, except he's way more aggressive than his dad was on track.
Did you see the tire wear on Graham Rahal's right front on those reds? He's one of the only cars still running. It gets cleaned up in the left-hander, but just look at the degradation on the right front, especially when he turns right. This is a left-hander, but you can see it feathers. Look at that. I mean, it's about ½ an inch drop.
So the only other car and driver in the top 14 also on alternates, that's the leader, Scott Dixon. Will he have an issue? Again, probably not, but we'll see with still 12 laps to go.
He had 9 seconds on his teammate Rosenquist. That's now down to 5. It would be great to see those two guys go at it. I doubt, though, that their team owner is going to let the young rookie challenge Dixon if it comes down to it, but we'll have to find out. If a yellow does come out, though, there's a whole bunch of guys that'll try to jump those Ganassi cars on a restart.
NBC is your home of motorsports, and Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series action continues at Watkins Glen next Sunday. Coverage begins 2:30 Eastern next Sunday on Nbcsn. We're inside the final 10 at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the Honda Indy 200. Kevin Lee, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, Jan Beekes, Dylan Welch, and Robin Miller. Lee Diffie is on assignment tonight. He's back in Des Moines. We'll see him later this evening from the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships. He'll be back with us next week for IMSA Sports Car Racing and back in Pocono in a few weeks for IndyCar. It's Scott Dixon in control, but look at that gap decrease. Felix Rosenquist inside 5 seconds now.
Yeah, he's closing the gap on his teammate, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to keep the order as is unless Dixon has a problem with fuel or tires.
You know, we talk like this smooth sailing for Scott Dixon, guys, but I've been watching his onboard during the break, and it's not exactly
keep working on your number.
Super easy in the cockpit. It looks like the reds, remember he started on used reds for this stint, and it looks like the tires are starting to go away. This is the section that really requires rear grip. Let's see what happens. Let's listen to the throttle control as he slides his way around.
Yeah, definitely fighting that wheel. You can see it oversteering, understeering, so it's not exactly easy for the leader, even though he's got a big lead, but he's got to still, you heard the radio, he's got to make a fuel number still.
The other thing is that he was about 1.5 seconds slower that lap than guys like Ryan Hunter-Reay and Newgarden, so it could get tight here at the finish. Still 8 laps to go.
And by the way, Rosenquist not only doesn't have a win as a rookie, he doesn't have a podium yet. 4th at St. Petersburg on debut, 4th in the first of the doubleheader races at Detroit, and 5th not too long ago at Toronto.
What's going to happen if Marco Andretti can get back to Scott Dixon?
Rosenquist is quicker by quite a bit, but he's got a lot of lap cars in front of him. He's got to work his way through to get to his teammate Dixon. He's closed it down now from 8 seconds down to 3.7.
Meanwhile, the rest of the pack is closing in a little bit as well. That was 20 seconds not long ago, and Hunter-Reay is within 10.
That big group of lap cars is circulating about 1 second a lap faster than Scott Dixon, so it'll be interesting to see how hard they try to push, because Marco Andretti, even though he's in 15th, that's a battle for position with Takuma Sato and Matheus Leist that are just behind.
By the way, coming up after we leave the air on NBC, we'll have extended post-race coverage from Mid-Ohio. Join us live on the free NBC Sports app. And that will be available on demand as well on the NBC Sports app, as well as the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. So we'll wrap up some other stories. Anything we don't have time to get to here on NBC, we'll take care of and recap on the NBC Sports app coming up right after 6 o'clock Eastern this evening.
Look at Ryan Hunter-Reay slowly catching the leaders. He was 2 seconds a lap faster than Dixon that last lap.
Yeah, but he's got Newgarden right there with him.
Look at this.
Now, I think Dixon's got some issues.
Oh, boy.
Because these lap cars are now trying to unlap themselves. Does he have a tire problem?
Well, we wondered if the Reds would last all the way for a full stint, or does he have to save fuel? He came in earlier than Hunter-Reay, Newgarden, Power, and Rosenquist has 7 lap pressure tires.
Hunter-Reay down to 7 seconds. It was 10 seconds a lap ago. Big trouble now for Scott Dixon. All these lap cars stacked up behind these guys. Is he in deep trouble, Townsend?
And don't forget, these Reds probably started with 7 laps of practice as Rosenquist goes inside Matthias Laced.
No time to wait. Got to make the move, even if it's not a typical passing zone.
Hunter-Reay 6 seconds back and closing quickly.
Rosenquist is on black tires, Dixon on reds. Are those reds gone? These guys are closing up fast. Does Rosenquist have a chance at his first win?
Remember what's happened to Scott Dixon in Detroit when he tried to stay out too long on the reds? He just absolutely fell off a performance cliff. Marco Andretti.
They're on it behind you.
5 laps to go. The lap cars are on the push to pass, trying to get their lap back.
Keep in mind, this is one of the legends in motorsports. Scott Dixon has won 5 championships. Only A.J. Foyt has more. Only Foyt and Mario Andretti have more wins. It looked like he had this one in the bag and wrapped up. Can he hang on? Can he make the tires last? Or will his rookie teammate Felix Rosenquist win for the first time lap traffic right in front of that green and black car?
2 more seconds off and a half a lap. Hunter-Reay down to 5 seconds.
Rosenquist going to the inside of Chilton. Can't happen right there.
He's got his first podium basically in the bag, but he can smell a win.
And he's going to have to stay on his giddy up, or Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to catch him. That's his motivation right now to get through this lap traffic.
Oh, I feel for Marco Andretti here, because now Marco's losing the position of Sato. I don't think Sato cares about Scott Dixon's lead. If Sato gets close, I think he'll pounce.
And he's laps down Sato because he had the issue going into the tire barrier at the very beginning of the race. But Rosenquist now getting a run on Chilton. Does he have enough to outbrake him?
I think he'll get him on the brakes, and he does. Sato's only 1 lap down, so effectively Sato's trying to unlap himself, but with 4 laps to go, Dixon's probably back there thinking, looking at Sato back there thinking, come on, man, don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything crazy. Sato known as the wild thing.
4 laps will seem like an eternity for Scott Dixon. 4 laps will flash by in a heartbeat for Hunter-Reay, who's now down to 3 seconds behind. He's closing at 2 seconds a lap, and there he is on the back of the train.
Dixon's last lap, a 1:11. What are you doing, Rosenquist? Don't hit a car.
Don't throw away that podium.
Did he get into the back?
Be patient. You'll get him.
Marco Andretti.
Yes, he did.
That's Barry Wanzer talking to him on the radio.
Oh, look at Sato.
Sato, the wild thing, dives inside.
Oh! Here he comes.
And Sato's thinking, all right, if I get my lap back and there's a caution, I can pick up a few more positions, but that's not going to play well if he takes out the race leader.
Oh, look at this. Marco Andretti's going to have a go on Sato, whose side pod is loose.
Oh, they're going to squeeze each other. Make contact.
They touch with 3 laps to go.
Side by side over the hill.
Marco's going to get him.
And Rosenquist, second in the race, is right there behind him in that second darker green shaded car. And this allows Scott Dixon to scoot away just a little bit.
Hunter-Reay is there.
Dixon's loving this. This is the battle for 15th.
Hunter-Reay's now on the back of the train. He's got to get by these lap cars if he's going to have a shot at second place.
Oh, Sato to pit lane. I think that's probably to fix his side pod.
It took lap traffic to liven this one up in the final stages.
Oh, here comes Hunter-Reay. He's hungry. Hunter-Reay has a chance. Two laps left, 2 seconds down. Dixon's last lap, a 1:11.
Nice job. 2 cars in front of you is Rosenquist for second. He's got 0, but Newgarden has 13.
Big lockup by Marco going into the corner.
And that's Joseph Newgarden, who gets through lap traffic to close up again with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
If Dixon hangs on to win here for the 6th time, in the last 35 years, only one driver will have won more races at one single track. That's Michael Andretti at Toronto. Felix Rosenquist is not done.
He's cleared Andretti, and he is right on his teammate. What is he going to do? What does the team ask him to do?
Laying down big tracks out of the corner. Rosenquist, is he going to go for the win?
You got this, Felix. Remember, it's your teammate. Make it clean.
Oh, they're telling him go for it. There's no team orders. What's going to happen? He's right on the back bumper of Dixon now.
No push to pass for Rosenquist. Dixon has 4 seconds. This is 1 lap to go.
I love it. Ganassi is letting the drivers fight it out amongst themselves. Who's the best? Who's going to get it done? The master, the 45-time winner and 5-time champion, Scott Dixon, trying to defend from his rookie teammate. They come together in the keyhole, nearly touch.
Oh, and Newgarden and Hunter-Reay get together for podium. Newgarden's off. That is a huge championship implication.
That's the championship leader around, and the rest of the crowd will pick up massive points in the title fight with 4 to go after today.
And Dixon could hold off Rosenquist. This allows Dixon to close in the championship massively, but does Rosenquist get Dixon right here?
He'll look around the inside, now try to swing to the outside. The teammates are side by side. One going for win number 46, the other for number 1 in IndyCar. Dixon is still in front.
I think Dixon has it.
He's out of tires, but I don't think he can handle it.
3 more turns to go. Championship points at stake. And rims at stake. Felix Rosenquist has a couple of more corners. His veteran teammate, Scott Dixon, trying to hold him up. 1 more time. Final corner. Dixon wiggles to the line. Rosenquist on his gearbox dives into the side.
Well done there, Scott.
Scott Dixon will win one of the closest road course races we've seen for the 46th time and the 6th time here at Mid-Ohio. Scott Dixon has done it. Rosenquist with his first podium. Hunter-Reay finishes 3rd, Power 4th, and Rossi moves to within 16 of the championship because there's the leader coming in. He lost 10 championship points with that off.
Rossi out of fuel. That shows you how close that he cut it. He had to come in, pull it into the end of the pit lane.
But they did calculate it correctly, and he got it done and maintained the 5th spot. What a finish. And Chip Ganassi Racing let their drivers go after it, and they did.
And the crowd loves it. Everybody on their feet waving. But look at this, guys. I don't know why Newgarden did this when he had Rossi behind him. He's got Hunter-Reay has already protected the inside. He's making him go on the outside.
I mean, I don't know what Rosenquist was thinking either. That was a bold move on the curb. And then Newgarden just gets really aggressive with Hunter-Reay.
A real desperate move for no reason.
Let's watch this. Oh, this will be a great view. He did try to do the cross-up, the over-under.
Yeah, it's just broke the front wheel. He saw the wheel was stopped, and then he just can't believe it. There was no reason for that.
So I mentioned that Newgarden lost 10 points on Rossi from 26 to 16 in the championship. Well, Dixon picked up 16 more. Remember, he was 78 back after picking up the 2 bonus points for leading the most laps. Now he's within 62.
Well, and Dixon has won a championship from 54 points back in 2015, so it is absolutely possible that this 4-driver battle will go all the way to the end. In the IndyCar season, it just never disappoints. What a finish.
Double points for the championship race as well at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, but they may not need it. What an effort. Scott Dixon had to make the Firestones last, had to make the fuel last.
we're not teammates. I think.
And look at those red tires. Those Firestones held tough for Dixon, just enough to make it to the end. Look at how worn they are, though. What a job he did today.
Oh, the tires totally went away the last 10 laps, and the job he did managing what he had to do to hold his teammate off was incredible. That's why they call him the Iceman.
Ganassi 1-2 for the first time since Texas in 2015 with Dixon and Kanan.
We said it in the pre-race warm-up. Don't talk about.
All right, we want to hear from the winner. Let's go down to victory lane. Dylan Welch, let's greet Scott Dixon.
And the Mid-Ohio Master scores again. And this will be a well-deserved celebration. The second win of 2019 for Scott Dixon. Man, how tough was that? It doesn't look like there's hardly anything left of these tires.
Oh man, that was crazy. I feel a little bit bad with Felix. I put some moves on him for sure there, but we were just a sitting duck. I had nothing else I could do. I think if I let one by, I was going to let the whole lot by. So I'll say sorry to him right now. I'm sure I'll see him in a minute, but I think we went too aggressive on the second set of reds, got way too loose. Was our U set as well, but they held in there. All that counts is we got the win, but huge credit to the PNC crew. They did a phenomenal job strategy-wise and just making the car a bit better for the race.
What's it like racing your teammate there? He's going after his first win. You're trying to just nurse it around the racetrack. How tough is that just to balance that aggression?
Yeah, it's so hard, and if I wasn't his teammate, I think he would have, had me off. So a lot of respect there, and Felix is going to have a ton of wins. This may help for our race for the championship. I think, looked like the others had a bit of a rough race out there today. So is what it is, man. But just proud of the team. And proud that we finally got that done. That was a tough race, really tough race to hang on. Those tires were shot with about 15 to go. I thought we were going to have to pit again.
A great effort for sure. Well-deserved victory. Scott Dixon wins at Mid-Ohio. Jan?
Yes, and amazing props there from Scott Dixon, now a 6-time winner here at this racetrack. To you, Felix Rosenquist. He gave you a lot of respect, saying you guys fought hard and they didn't have team orders. Are you surprised you got the green light to fight your teammate?
No, I mean, Chip normally lets us race, and I think that was the right thing to do. It was a good couple of laps with a lap traffic there. I mean, say whatever you want, but that's how we race here. So you just have to get through all the traffic and then obviously get to Scott. And I thought he gave me the room because he looked really slow on the reds and saving fuel, and then he kind of veered in the last moment. There was a little bit of misunderstanding there. We touched a little bit, but anyways, he raced hard and fair for the last couple of corners, and almost got him there in the end. But anyways, it was fantastic to get his first podium with the Chip Ganassi Racing, the Clover car, and NTT Data Racing. It's just fantastic.
Fantastic job. That was an amazing battle between the teammates, and of course a lot of that was done with lap traffic. Robin?
All right, with 2 laps to go, Alexander Rossi was 34 points out of the lead. He's now 17 points out of the lead. Newgarden crashed on the last lap. He finished 5th. You ever had her turn around like that at the end?
I've had to go the other way plenty of times, so we'll take it. It was a difficult day overall for us. We didn't seem to have the pace really on either tire, but in the end, the team did a good job, kept me focused, and we stayed with it, and we got a top 5. And stays like that where you gotta get points, and fortunately, luck was on our side today.
4 races to go, 16 points behind. You got them where you want them?
Well, no, we'd like to be 16 points ahead, but beggars can't be choosers. So this Napa Andretti Honda team has done a really good job all year. We've had pace. We've always been there. We just need some more race wins, and hopefully we can get that after a couple-week break here. We can reset and refocus and hit them hard in Pagano.
All right, we'll see you at Pagano. Jan?
We're trying to get a quick word with Joseph Newgarden. He wants to quick touch base with his team, of course, because what unfolded there on the very last lap. I'm sorry to interrupt, Joseph, but what happened there in the keyhole with you side by side with Ryan Hunter-Reay?
Just, forced the issue probably. Just trying to get on the podium there, and I got into the side of him and then lost power. I started looping around and I lost power, but it's my fault trying to force the issue there. Just couldn't. Wish I could have maintained the engine. That was the big thing. So yeah, just we had a great car today. PPG was great supporting us. Chevy did a wonderful job. I wish we could have done a bit more there at the end. Just wasn't meant to be.
All right, a tough day for Joseph Newgarden, and amazing after he recovered after a fuel probe problem on the pits. Looked like he had a 4th place, and as he said, fought too hard in the keyhole.
Ultimately finishes 14th. Now, meanwhile, we're in the closing stages of the NASCAR Cup Series race at Pagano. So when we're done in a couple of minutes, flip over to Nbcsn and catch the end of that. They're under yellow and a restart coming up in just a moment. Now, for IndyCar fans, we'll have bonus coverage coming up on the NBC Sports app. That's free when we finish here in just a moment, and that will be available on demand as well as the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. All right, let's look at how it played out. Ended up being another wild one.
Wow. Well, to quote Scott Dixon, it wasn't looking very good there the last few laps, but he's the highest paid driver in the series for a reason. He earned every penny today. He mastered the art of hanging on and defending when he needed to.
Man, oh man, my head is still spinning for those last few laps, and I just can't believe that Rossi got handed a gift like that from the Team Penske driver of Newgarden.
4 to go, 4 within 62 of the championship. Newgarden lost some cushion, but still is in pretty good shape.
Oh yeah, as we roll to Laguna Seca at the end of the season in Monterey, California, it just seems like things are tightening up perfectly if you're an IndyCar fan. And for Scott Dixon, 62 points looks very achievable if he continues to perform like he and his team did today.
So many storylines as we finish up this season, and one of the challenging super speedways in Pagano is coming up next. Meanwhile, for us tonight next, except on the West Coast, it's your local news. And tonight at 8 Eastern, America's best athletes tune up for next summer's Olympics. It's the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships, hosted by our own Lee Diffie. The NTT INDYCAR Series continues at Pagano. Join us for the ABC Supply 500 Sunday, August 18th at 2 Eastern on Nbcsn. Congratulations, Scott Dixon. Thanks for joining us from Mid-Ohio.